Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire by Drusilla Dungy Houston, 1926. No renewal. This is a pioneering, long-lost work of Afrocentric history. Drusilla Dungy Houston, 1876 to 1991, was a teacher, journalist, and self-taught historian. Inspired by W.E.B. Du Bois, the Negro, Houston undertook a lifelong quest to discover African history from an African-American perspective. Today, it is clear that conventional historians' fixation on dead white men misses huge parts of the historical picture. Africa had several advanced civilizations in antiquity, which flourished at the same time as the better-known European and Asian ones. However, at the time that Houston wrote, history was viewed through a Eurocentric perspective, and any mention of advanced African cultures was considered on a par with Atlantis. Houston believed the Kushite civilization to be the motherland of humanity. The Kushite civilization did exist, although it was not as ancient as Egypt, and certainly not the origin of all culture. Nevertheless, the Kushites were the earliest known black African civilization. Reaching its peak between 1750 and 1500 BCE, and lasting until the 4th century CE, the Kushite Empire occupied what is now the Sudan, with its capital at Meroe on the Nile. At that high point, Kushites even conquered and ruled ancient Egypt from 750 to 650 BCE. Because of their geographical isolation, they had nowhere near the impact on other parts of the world that Houston attributed them. The Kushites were heavily influenced by the older Egypt culture rather than the other way around. They left behind fields of hundreds of small, steep-angled burial pyramids, the design of which was borrowed from Egypt and scaled down. Houston wrote 3 volumes, of which only this one, the first known as Wonderful Ethiopians, was published. She had no staff and no formal training in academic procedures. Living in Oklahoma, her access to specialized libraries was limited. One can only wonder what she would have made of Google. Although Houston identifies many of her sources in the body of the text, there are a few footnotes or other apparatus that such a bold theory would require for consideration. The writing is vigorous and popularized, which also makes it a difficult sell for historians. The received text of this book could have used a bit of proofing and editing, referred to errata, but given the circumstances under which it was published, then this is understandable. The compelling part of this book is that it exists at all. While we debate her theories, one historical fact is fairly clear. Houston left her own mark as a pioneering advocate of the study of black history. John Bruno Hare, October 4th, 2004. In the table of contents, we have title page, table of contents, synopsis of contents, preface. Chapter 1, The Empire's Age and Scope. Chapter 2, Old Ethiopia, Its People. Chapter 3, Ancient Ethiopia, the Land. Chapter 4, The Amazing Civilization of Ethiopia. Chapter 5, Prehistoric Egypt, the Land of Wonders. Chapter 6, Egypt in her Golden Age. Chapter 7, Egypt and her mighty pharaohs. Chapter 8, Arabia and her ancient races. Chapter 9, the marvelous Arabian civilization. Chapter 10, the rich Arabian literature. Chapter 11, the strange races of Chaldeans. Chapter 12, Babylonian, the land of marvels. Chapter 13, the civilization of Babylon. Chapter 14, civilization of India. Chapter 15, ancient India, the land of mystery. Chapter 16, Hindu religion and literature. And the last chapter, ancient Media and Persia were Kushite. And final word.